Hey everyone! Ready to dive deep into the world of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Released on May 6, 2022, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. The film throws us right into chaos from the opening scene. We're introduced to a version of Doctor Strange we've never seen before, Defender Strange, racing through a mind-bending dimension with a young girl named Chavez. They're being chased by a monstrous entity, and right away, it's clear. This isn't the Marvel we've grown used to. There's tension, desperation, and high-stakes magical action in a realm that doesn't obey our usual laws of physics. It's during this chase that we first learn about America's power. She can punch open star-shaped portals between universes, but she can't control it. Defender Strange makes a fateful decision, trying to take her powers to protect the multiverse, but he fails. America accidentally opens a portal into the MCU's primary universe, Earth 616, and we're reunited with our Stephen Strange, still grappling with the aftermath of Avengers Endgame and his complex feelings for Christine Palmer. Strange attends her wedding, giving us a quiet, human moment before the chaos returns. Suddenly, a giant interdimensional octopus, Gargantos, crashes into the city, chasing America. It's here that she meets our Strange and Wong, and the pieces start to fall into place. America tells them about the multiverse, her powers, and the fact that someone or something is hunting her across dimensions to steal those powers. Strange seeks help from the one person he believes can deal with this kind of dark magic, Wanda Maximoff. But what he doesn't expect is the chilling truth. Wanda is the one hunting America. The events of WandaVision have left her broken, corrupted by the Darkhold, and consumed by her longing to be reunited with her children, Billy and Tommy, from an alternate universe. Elizabeth Olsen delivers a powerhouse performance, blurring the line between villain and tragic antihero as Wanda fully embraces her identity as the Scarlet Witch. This revelation sets off a chain of dimension-hopping chaos. Strange, America, and Wong confront Wanda at Kamar-Taj, but she's far too powerful. In a haunting, Raimi-style assault, she obliterates the fortress, showcasing her terrifying new strength. America's powers kick in again during the battle, sending her and Strange spiraling through universes in one of the film's most visually stunning sequences. A breathtaking kaleidoscope of realities, from a world made of paint to a futuristic techno-city. They land in Universe 838, where everything feels slightly off, subtle differences, a utopian feel, and then one of the film's most anticipated moments, the Illuminati. Here we meet alternate versions of familiar characters, Captain Carter, Black Bolt, Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel, Mordo, and even John Krasinski as Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. And at the center of this universe's defense, Professor Charles Xavier, played once again by Patrick Stewart. His return sends chills down spines, and for a brief moment, we believe Strange may find allies here. But that hope is short-lived. Wanda dreamwalks, using the Darkhold to possess her alternate self in Universe 838, and launches a brutal attack. In a shocking and graphic sequence that showcases Sam Raimi's horror roots, Wanda eliminates the Illuminati one by one. It's terrifying, intense, and completely unexpected for a Marvel film. The tone here shifts dramatically, leaning into psychological horror, mirror dimensions, and grotesque visuals that set this movie apart from anything else in the MCU. As the multiverse collapses around them, Strange realizes that to defeat this corrupted Wanda, he must embrace a darker path himself. Using the Darkhold, he dreamwalks into a decaying corpse of one of his own variants, the undead Defender Strange we saw at the beginning. It's one of the most visually striking and eerie sequences, as Strange animates a zombified version of himself and uses the souls of the damned as weapons. Raimi goes full horror here, and the result is both haunting and heroic. The final confrontation is not about brute strength but about empathy. America, now gaining some control over her powers, shows Wanda what her actions have become. forcing her children to fear her. It's a heartbreaking realization, and in a rare moment of clarity, Wanda destroys the Darkhold in every universe, burying herself beneath the crumbling walls of Mount Wundagore, choosing to end her reign of chaos to protect others from becoming what she became. The dust settles, but questions remain. Strange returns home changed, both literally and spiritually. In the film's closing moments, he develops a mysterious third eye, a side effect of using the Darkhold. Just when we think it's over, the mid-credits scene introduces Clea, played by Charlize Theron, hinting at an incursion, another multiversal catastrophe, and pulling Strange into a new adventure. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is far more than a typical superhero sequel. It's a genre-bending spectacle that fuses Marvel's cosmic storytelling with horror, tragedy, and multiversal insanity. Sam Raimi's distinct direction infuses the film with unpredictability, and Elizabeth Olsen's performance grounds the madness in raw emotion. It's a movie that doesn't hold your hand. It throws you into the chaos and dares you to keep up. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness hit theaters on May 6, 2022, and from the very first scene, it pulled audiences into a wild, fast-paced adventure through alternate realities. As part of the ever-growing Marvel Cinematic Universe, this movie did something different. It blended superhero action with horror, mystery, and emotional drama, creating an experience that felt new even in a world already filled with massive superhero stories. Directed by Sam Raimi, the mastermind behind the original Spider-Man trilogy and known for his horror background with films like Evil Dead, the movie had a unique tone that stood out. It wasn't just about explosions and visual effects. It was dark, creepy, fast-moving, and filled with unexpected moments. Raimi's style added suspense, surprise, and even fear to the usual Marvel formula, making this film feel like a blend of superhero and supernatural genres. At its heart, the film follows Dr. Stephen Strange, played once again by Benedict Cumberbatch, who has grown into one of the MCU's most complex characters. Strange begins the story still dealing with the consequences of Avengers Endgame and the emotional cost of the choices he's made. While the world sees him as a hero, he's clearly struggling inside. When he meets America Chavez, a teenage girl with the rare power to travel between universes, he is pulled into a race against time and reality itself. America is being hunted, and Strange promises to protect her, not yet knowing that the person chasing her is someone he once trusted, Wanda Maximoff. This is where the story takes a turn that no one really expected. Wanda, played by Elizabeth Olsen, isn't just a side character here, she's the main antagonist. Following the events of WandaVision, she's broken, consumed by grief over losing her children, and now under the influence of the Darkhold, a powerful book of dark magic. Her transformation into the Scarlet Witch is complete, and her goal is simple but heartbreaking. She wants to travel to a universe where her children exist and take their place as their mother, no matter the cost. Olsen gives one of her most powerful performances here. She makes Wanda terrifying and tragic at the same time. You understand her pain, even as you're shocked by her actions. The film wastes no time. From the first few minutes, the pace is fast. Strange and America travel across universes, each with its own rules, visuals, and strange versions of characters we know. There's a paint universe, a futuristic world, and one that's falling apart entirely. These sequences are stunning to look at. The visual effects team went all out, creating scenes that feel like dreams or nightmares, depending on where the characters land. The multiverse concept opens the door for unexpected cameos, twists, and versions of characters fans only imagined seeing before. One of the biggest surprises is the Illuminati scene in Universe 838, where we meet alternate versions of well-known heroes like Captain Carter, Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau, Black Bolt, Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, and even Professor Charles Xavier, played again by Patrick Stewart. This moment got huge reactions in theaters because it hinted at just how big the multiverse could become in the future of the MCU. But as exciting as those cameos were, the movie doesn't let them steal the focus. Keeps its attention on Strange, Wanda, and America. Strange isn't just fighting villains. He's facing other versions of himself. Some are kind, some are corrupted, and one is completely broken. These encounters make Strange ask himself, Is he always destined to make the same choices, no matter what universe he's in? And more importantly, is he truly happy? These deep questions give the movie weight. It's not just about stopping a villain. It's about identity, regret, and the fear of what you might become if you lose your way. The movie's darker tone works well because it shows consequences. Magic comes with a price. Wanda's grief becomes her destruction. Strange's search for control leads him to a dangerous place. And America, though young and unsure, ends up being the key to everything. Not just as a tool or a plot device, but as a character who grows in strength and confidence. Xochitl Gomez, who plays America, brings a likable energy to the role, and you can tell that she's going to be a major part of the MCU going forward. The horror elements are where Sam Raimi's touch really shines. There are moments that feel like something out of a horror movie, not a superhero film. From Wanda crawling out of a mirror with twisted limbs to the dark version of Strange trapped in a crumbling, haunted world. These scenes are eerie and unforgettable. There's even a moment where Strange uses the body of a dead version of himself, literally becoming a zombie sorcerer, to fight against evil. It's wild, creative, and completely unexpected. These bold choices are what make the movie so interesting to talk about. It doesn't play it safe. And then there's the emotional payoff. The final act doesn't end with a huge battle, but with understanding. America shows Wanda the truth, not through force, but by opening a portal and letting her see how her children in another universe react to her terrifying form. They're scared of her. It's a heartbreaking moment that finally makes Wanda stop and realize what she's become. Rather than win through violence, the heroes win through empathy and truth. Wanda makes the painful choice to destroy the Darkhold in every universe and seemingly sacrifices herself, ending her arc on a note of redemption and tragedy. Even after the story wraps up, the movie keeps giving. In the mid-credits scene, a new character named Clea, played by Charlize Theron, appears and tells Strange that his actions have triggered an incursion when two universes crash into each other. She opens a portal, and Strange, now with a third eye from using dark magic, follows her. It's a huge setup for what's next in the MCU, showing that this movie isn't just a side adventure. It's shaping the future of the multiverse saga. So, what makes Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness worth exploring? It's the fact that it tries something different. It doesn't follow the usual formula. It takes risks. It mixes genres. It makes you feel uneasy at times. It asks deep questions. And it does all this while still being a visually thrilling superhero movie. The performances, especially by Elizabeth Olsen, are layered and emotional. The direction is bold. The visuals are unforgettable. And the story, while fast and chaotic at times, sticks with you because it feels personal, even in the middle of all the multiverse madness. This film became a cultural phenomenon because it showed how far the Marvel Universe could stretch. It wasn't just another chapter. It was a door opening to endless possibilities. Fans debated every scene, every cameo, every theory. Was Wanda really gone? What versions of heroes will we see next? Will Strange become the villain in his own story? These questions kept people talking long after the credits rolled. It all begins in chaos. No peaceful opening, no quiet build-up. We're thrown straight into a surreal, otherworldly dimension where Doctor Strange is sprinting through floating debris and collapsing structures. Not the version we know, but an alternate one, Defender Strange. With him is a teenage girl we've never seen before, America Chavez, and they're being hunted by a terrifying, swirling, one-eyed monster made of ribbons and energy. Strange is trying to help her reach a powerful book, the Book of Vishanti, but there's no time. The creature is closing in. Defender Strange makes a hard choice. If he can't save America, maybe he can at least stop the creature from taking her power. But that means sacrificing her. He turns on her, not out of cruelty but desperation, and begins to take her multiverse-hopping power for himself. It's an act that tells us something dark about him. Even heroes, in the wrong moment, can become dangerous. But before he can finish, the creature stabs him. With her emotions in chaos, America opens a star-shaped portal, pure instinct, and she and Defender Strange's lifeless body fall into it. It's jarring, intense, and confusing, in the best way. We don't understand what's happening yet, but it's clear that something big and dangerous is unfolding across realities. Cut to Earth 616, our main universe. Stephen Strange wakes up. Was it just a dream? That's what he assumes, shaking off the vision. He puts on his suit, ties his red cloak of levitation, and heads to a wedding. Not just any wedding. His ex, Christine Palmer, is marrying someone else. The man who once held the Time Stone and fought Thanos can't escape the ache of lost love. There's a moment here that stings more than any magical battle. Strange stands in his suit, watching the woman he loved move on. Christine still cares for him, but she's also accepted what he never could. They weren't meant to be. But just as we begin to sink into that emotional weight, chaos strikes again. A massive creature, Gargantos, a gigantic one-eyed octopus, tears through the city, smashing cars, buildings, and anything in its path. Strange leaps into action without hesitation, using his spells and cloak with stunning precision. Wong joins the fight, now the Sorcerer Supreme, commanding magic with authority and calm. Together, they face the creature in one of the movie's most thrilling and visually wild battles. But the target isn't them. It's the teenage girl from Strange's dream. The battle ends with Gargantos being defeated in brutal fashion. Strange rips its eye out using a magically enhanced lamppost. But the real mystery remains. Who is this girl? And how was she in Strange's dream? Her name is America Chavez. She explains the monster was trying to kill her, and it's not the first time. She's been hunted across the multiverse by other beasts, sent by someone or something that wants her power. Strange is skeptical. He's never even heard of a multiverse traveler like her. But when he sees the dead body of Defender Strange, now lying cold in his universe, he realizes it wasn't just a dream. It was a glimpse into another reality. Something is breaking the rules of space and time, and America is at the center of it. Strange and Wong realize they need help. This kind of dark, ancient magic, this kind of multiversal threat is beyond normal threats. So Strange turns to the one person he believes can help, Wanda Maximoff. We find her living in a peaceful orchard, surrounded by flowers and calm. She looks healed, maybe even happy. But it's a lie. As Strange explains the situation and mentions America, Wanda lets one detail slip. She says America's name before Strange does. In that instant, everything changes. The peaceful illusion fades, revealing a dark and cursed landscape. Wanda is no longer hiding who she is. She is the Scarlet Witch, fully transformed, corrupted by the Darkhold. She's not offering help. She's the one chasing America. This is the film's true turning point. It's not just a twist. It's a punch to the chest. Wanda, one of the Avengers, one of the heroes, has crossed the line. But her motivations are heartbreakingly human. She doesn't want power for power's sake. She wants her children. Billy and Tommy, the sons she created in WandaVision, exist in another universe. She believes America's power can let her live there, with them, forever. Strange pleads with her. This isn't the way. But Wanda is past reason. You break the rules and become a hero, she tells him. I do it and I become the enemy. That doesn't seem fair. It's a chilling, honest line that defines her dissent. She gives Strange a warning. Hand over America by sundown, or she's coming for her. Strange and Wong rush back to Kamar-Taj, the ancient sanctuary where sorcerers are trained. They fortify the temple, bringing in every sorcerer they can, from the youngest students to seasoned masters. The tension builds as the sun begins to fall. There's no question Wanda's coming, and she does. What follows is not a battle, it's a massacre. Wanda doesn't attack with brute force. She uses dark magic, illusions, and fear. She whispers into the mind of a young sorcerer, causing him to panic and break the defense line. In an instant, Kamar-Taj's shield falls, and Wanda begins her assault. The fight is intense, fast, and terrifying. Wanda is no longer holding back. She twists through the air, rips through shields, and leaves destruction in her wake. This isn't a fair fight, it's survival. As Wong and the remaining sorcerers hold off Wanda as long as they can, America's powers trigger again in her panic. She and Strange are thrown into the multiverse, falling through dozens of realities in a jaw-dropping sequence that's unlike anything Marvel has done before. They crash through a paint universe, a world made of bones, a cartoon realm, and futuristic cities, all in seconds. Finally, they land in a calm, clean, and strange version of New York. This is Universe 838. It looks familiar, but something's off. Traffic lights are reversed. Memory is accessed in public booths. And most important, this universe's Doctor Strange is dead. He died fighting Thanos. He's celebrated as a hero with a massive statue in his honor. America and Strange go looking for help and find it in the form of this universe's Christine Palmer. Christine is a scientist here, specializing in multiversal travel. And she's not surprised to see a variant Strange. In fact, she knows the multiverse is real. She takes them to the Baxter Foundation, a high-tech research facility where they hope to find help. But instead of support, Strange is arrested, sedated, and captured by none other than Baron Mordo. Except in this universe, he's not Strange's enemy, or is he? As Strange is taken in, the movie slows for a moment, letting us breathe. But the unease stays. There's more going on beneath the surface. America is locked up. Strange is drugged. Something isn't right. Mordo talks about a group called the Illuminati, people who protect the multiverse. Strange thinks he's finally going to get help. But the story is only getting darker. Back in Universe 616, Wanda recovers from the battle at Kamar-Taj. The Darkhold has a trick, a spell called dreamwalking. It allows her to possess versions of herself in other universes. She targets Wanda from Universe 838, a version who lives happily with Billy and Tommy. Through the spell, Wanda takes control of that body, walking, talking, and acting through her, as the real Wanda stays hidden in her dark throne on Mount Wundagore. Inside the glass and metal heart of the Baxter Foundation, Dr. Strange sits in a high-security chamber, held not by physical restraints, but by a powerful sedative. As the drugs wear off, he finds himself face-to-face with a new group, one that's been hinted at, whispered about, but never seen until now. The Illuminati. It's a moment built on tension, curiosity, and awe. Led by the regal Karl Mordo of Universe 838, the Illuminati is a secret council of that world's greatest minds and mightiest heroes. Strange is brought before them, and the full lineup is revealed with spine-tingling weight. Captain Carter, holding a vibranium shield, proudly stands as her universe's super soldier. Maria Rambeau, not Carol Danvers, is Captain Marvel here, glowing with power. Black Bolt, the silent king of the Inhumans, is introduced. His voice so deadly it can destroy with a whisper. Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four appears, played by John Krasinski in a surprise that sent shockwaves through audiences. And at the center of them all, in his familiar hoverchair, is Professor Charles Xavier, played once again by Patrick Stewart. A calm, wise voice in the storm. Strange expects help. Instead, he gets judgment. This world Strange, despite his heroic statue, made a terrible mistake. In his obsession with stopping Thanos, he used the Darkhold, causing an incursion. A catastrophic event where two universes begin to collide and destroy each other. Though he helped defeat Thanos, the Illuminati couldn't trust him afterward. They had to stop him. They took his life not out of hate, but out of necessity. It's a haunting echo for our Strange, a warning. No matter the universe, he's always one decision away from becoming the villain. But before the Illuminati can decide what to do with him, reality is about to be ripped apart once more. Wanda has arrived. Dreamwalking inside the body of her Earth 838 self, Wanda infiltrates the Baxter Foundation like a silent storm. The alarms are too late. One by one, she confronts the Illuminati, and in a series of brutal, horrifying moments, she kills each of them with cold, devastating precision. Black Bolt tries to speak, but Wanda erases his mouth. The pressure builds in his head until it explodes. Reed Richards is shredded into ribbons. Captain Carter fights bravely but is sliced by her own shield. Maria Rambeau is crushed under a statue. Professor X enters Wanda's mind in a last-ditch effort to reach the real woman buried deep within. But the Scarlet Witch snaps his neck like it's nothing. It's a massacre. And it's not just shocking. It's personal. This isn't a mindless villain. It's a grieving mother twisted by pain and power, leaving no room for mercy. Strange escapes with America and Christine, barely surviving the carnage. But the sanctuary is gone. Help is gone. The multiverse has been cracked open, and Wanda is right behind them. They flee again, this time into a crumbling, decaying universe, one that's collapsing in on itself due to an incursion. It's eerily quiet, broken, and strange. There, they encounter another version of Doctor Strange, Sinister Strange. This version is twisted, corrupted by the Darkhold, obsessed with his own pain and loneliness. His fingers are blackened by magic. His eyes sunken. He is what Steven could become. The encounter is tense, surreal. The two Stranges talk, almost quietly, circling each other with unspoken fear. This Strange reveals what happens when someone dives too deep into the Darkhold. The lines between right and wrong vanish. Reality itself becomes flexible. He shows Steven his trophy collection, full of lost memories and failed attempts at finding happiness. And then the fight begins. It's unlike any battle we've seen before. Musical notes from a piano become weapons, magic infused with melody, crashing against each other in waves of light and sound. It's clever, weird, and mesmerizing. In the end, our Strange wins, but barely. He takes the Darkhold and prepares for a choice he never wanted to make. Back in Earth 616, Wong has survived Mount Wundagore, where Wanda is using dark spells to permanently transfer America's powers. He's tied up, battered, but alive. Strange realizes the only way to stop Wanda is to break the rules himself. Dreamwalk into the corpse of Defender Strange left back in their own universe. It's a bold, terrifying move, but he's out of time and options. The spell begins. Strange's soul leaps across realities and enters the decaying, dead body of his alternate self. Now reanimated, this zombie-like Strange rises, bones creaking, face hollow. This grotesque but necessary. The souls of the damned, spirits that guard against dreamwalking into a dead body, come screaming at him, clawing and howling. But Strange, ever the master of the mystic arts, bends them to his will. He transforms their energy into a cloak of shadows, soaring through the sky like a demonic sorcerer risen from the grave. Zombie Strange arrives at Mount Wundagore with a silent fury. He faces Wanda with everything he has left. Wong fights beside him, regaining strength. The battle is fierce, dark magic clashing with soulfire. But ultimately, it's not Strange who defeats Wanda. It's America. Realizing her own strength, America stands up, no longer the helpless girl running from world to world. She doesn't try to stop Wanda. She shows her. Using her power, she opens a portal to Universe 838, where Wanda sees her children again. But they're terrified of her. The woman standing before them, covered in blood, radiating rage, is not their mother. It's a monster. It breaks her. Wanda finally sees the truth. In her desperation to be with her sons, she's become the very thing they would fear. In a moment of clarity, she collapses. The real Wanda, the mother, the human being, returns. And she makes a choice. She won't let the Darkhold hurt anyone else. Not in this universe or any other. Wanda destroys Mount Wundagore. The structure collapses around her. The Darkhold is wiped out from every reality. She sacrifices herself, ending the chaos she unleashed. Whether she survives the collapse or not remains unanswered. But the moment is heavy, final, and filled with pain and release. America, finally in control, decides to stay in the 616 universe to train as a sorcerer at Kamar-Taj. She's no longer lost. She has purpose. Wong, ever the wise mentor, welcomes her with a smile. Strange, too, finds a strange sense of peace. He visits Christine from Universe 838 one last time. Their connection is real, but their paths are not meant to intertwine. She belongs in her world and he in his. Still, the goodbye is tender, honest. It hurts, but there's beauty in the letting go. Back home in New York, Steven begins to rebuild his life. For once, he walks down the street without the weight of the world on his shoulders. But just as things seem to settle, he falls to his knees in pain. A third eye opens on his forehead, evidence of the Darkhold's lingering touch. The cost of breaking the rules always comes due. And then one final twist. In the mid-credits scene, a dimensional rift slices open. Out steps Clea, a mysterious, powerful woman in a glowing purple suit. She tells him he's caused an incursion, and she needs his help to fix it. Without hesitation, Steven's third eye opens, and he follows her into the unknown. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, character is everything. While the film dazzles with interdimensional visuals, horror-laced sequences, and reality-bending stakes, its true strength lies in how it handles the deeply personal journeys of its central figures. These aren't just characters tossed into action for spectacle. They're individuals grappling with guilt, grief, longing, and the very human desire to feel whole again. At the core of the multiversal chaos lies a series of raw, emotional arcs that turn this cosmic epic into something hauntingly intimate. Dr. Stephen Strange, played once again by Benedict Cumberbatch, is no longer just the arrogant surgeon-turned-sorcerer we met years ago. He's lived through Infinity War, Endgame, and Spider-Man, No Way Home. He's saved the universe, watched friends die, and made impossible decisions. But what lingers most in this film isn't the grandeur of his actions. It's the quiet ache of what he's lost. The film opens not with him soaring triumphantly, but with him sitting alone at the wedding of Christine Palmer, the woman he once loved but could never truly hold on to. That moment, small and still, defines the emotional current of the film. Beneath all his power and wisdom, Strange is uncertain. He's asking a question he's never dared to face before. Am I happy? That question is woven into every choice he makes throughout the movie. Cumberbatch plays Strange not as a man confidently in control, but as someone questioning the cost of always being the one with the knife, the one who makes the final call. His arc is subtle but deeply felt. Each time he meets another version of himself, from the heroic defender Strange to the corrupted sinister Strange, he sees pieces of a man who made the wrong choices. These multiversal reflections aren't just gimmicks, they're mirrors. They force him to confront the idea that no matter what universe he's in, Stephen Strange always believes he knows best. It's this underlying arrogance, dressed up as heroism, that nearly dooms countless worlds. But it's through these mirrors that growth comes. When he meets Christine in Universe 838, a version of the woman he couldn't keep in his own world, he starts to learn how to let go. Their chemistry is still there. Rachel McAdams brings warmth and strength to Christine in a way that feels even more grounded than before. But this time, Strange doesn't try to hold on. He accepts that not every version of love is meant to last. That realization softens him, humbles him, and it sets him on a path where, for once, he doesn't take control, he empowers someone else. That someone is America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez in her MCU debut. America is the film's beating heart, even when she doesn't realize it. She begins the story terrified, lost, and unsure of her place in the universe. Literally. Her power to punch holes through realities makes her a target, but it also isolates her. She's always running, always surviving, never belonging. At first, she's the classic kid with powers the villain wants trope, but that's only surface level. Beneath that is a young girl desperate to stop living in fear. Gomez brings a perfect balance of vulnerability and spark to America. She's wide-eyed, quick-witted, and grounded, even as the universe spins out of control around her. And over the course of the film, we see her shift from being protected to becoming her own protector. Strange tries to shield her, even considers taking her power to stop Wanda. But in the end, he chooses to believe in her. That faith unlocks her potential. In the climax, when she finally faces Wanda and opens a portal, not to run, but to show her the truth, America transforms from a passenger in her story to the pilot. It's not just a victory, it's a moment of becoming. And then there's Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, the heart of the storm, Elizabeth Olsen delivers a performance that is both terrifying and deeply tragic. Wanda is no longer caught between identities. She has fully embraced the Scarlet Witch, and with that, her descent into darkness feels inevitable yet heartbreaking. Her motivation is simple, painfully human. She wants her children back. After the events of WandaVision, where she created a family from nothing and then had to let it go, she's shattered. The Darkhold, Marvel's sinister book of dark magic, whispers promises to her, and she listens, not because she's evil, but because she's grieving, and in her grief, she becomes dangerous. What makes Wanda so compelling is that she's never just one thing. She's not a mustache-twirling villain. She's not even a hero gone wrong. She's a mother in mourning, a woman who has lost everything. Olsen plays her with so much nuance that even in her most violent moments, crushing sorcerers at Kamar-Taj, murdering the Illuminati, you feel the pain fueling her rage. She's not just trying to take America's powers. She's trying to carve out a world where her pain doesn't exist. But the tragedy is that the very thing she's chasing, her children, become the reflection that breaks her. In the end, when America shows her a version of Billy and Tommy who scream in terror at the sight of her, Wanda is forced to see what she's become. It's not a climactic battle that undoes her. It's not Strange's magic or America's fists. It's the truth. That moment of realization is the emotional high point of the film. Wanda, the most powerful being in the story, is brought to her knees not by force, but by her own conscience. In her final act, Wanda doesn't run. She ends it. She brings down the temple of Mount Wundagore, destroys the Darkhold across all universes, and seemingly buries herself under the rubble. It's a moment of quiet redemption. Whether she's truly gone is left unanswered, but her arc finds closure, for now. A full-circle journey from pain to rage, and finally, to peace. Wong, played by Benedict Wong, once again serves as both comic relief and steady mentor. Now the Sorcerer Supreme, he brings authority without arrogance. He's the grounding presence that Strange often lacks. Wong's role in this film, though more supporting, is essential. He faces down Wanda, leads the defense of Kamar-Taj, and even survives Mount Wundagore. Through it all, he maintains the calm, disciplined strength of someone who understands the weight of power. He never overshadows Strange, but he's never in his shadow either. Wong has grown into a full, respected leader in his own right. Then there's Christine. Her dual versions in both the main universe and Universe 838 give her more depth than ever before. In 616, she's the symbol of what Strange lost, what he couldn't save because of his obsession with control. In 838, she's a scientist, confident and capable, helping Strange navigate the dangers of the multiverse. She doesn't fall back into his arms. She challenges him, supports him, but ultimately remains her own person. McAdams gives Christine a strength here that finally lets her character shine beyond being the love interest. She's not just there to be missed. She's there to make a difference. The alternate Stranges also play key roles. Defender Strange is noble but flawed. His decision to steal America's powers early in the film sets up the question that echoes throughout. Are we all just the same person in every universe? Sinister Strange is the darkest answer to that question. A man so consumed by grief that he's allowed the Darkhold to twist him into a shadow of who he was. These versions are less characters and more reflections, each showing Stephen what he could become if he loses himself. Even smaller characters serve vital functions. Rintrah, the green Minotaur sorcerer, adds color and variety to the Kamar-Taj defenders. Sarah, the brave sorceress who sacrifices herself to destroy the Darkhold, proves that courage exists even in the background. The Illuminati, though their time is short, leave a lasting impression. Their arrogance, their certainty that Wanda is not a threat, becomes their undoing. In a way, they're a warning about the dangers of underestimating grief and believing too firmly in your own control. Each character, whether central or supporting, serves a purpose in the larger tapestry. Their arcs connect through one theme, the illusion of control. Strange wants to control the outcome of every crisis. Wanda wants to control her reality. America wants to control her powers. The Illuminati think they can control the multiverse. And in every case, the story shows that true strength doesn't come from control. It comes from letting go. The performances bring all of this to life with extraordinary weight. Cumberbatch balances arrogance with vulnerability, giving Strange the depth he's long needed. Olsen steals the film with raw emotion, making us fear Wanda and mourn her at the same time. Gomez bursts onto the scene with charm and heart, establishing America as a powerful future force. McAdams, Wong, and the entire supporting cast elevate every moment they're given, no matter how small. From the very first frame of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, it's clear that this film isn't just another superhero adventure. It's a treasure map. Layered beneath the spell-slinging action and multiverse madness is a dense web of hidden details, callbacks, and subtle symbolism that rewards both long-time Marvel fans and sharp-eyed viewers alike. Director Sam Raimi, returning to the superhero genre with his unmistakable horror flair, infuses every scene with visual trickery and thematic echoes. Every frame seems to whisper, "Look closer." The movie opens in chaos. Defender Strange and America Chavez running from a monstrous creature in a broken realm. It's a jarring, action-heavy sequence, but even here, the detail is rich. Defender Strange's costume is a nod to classic comic book designs, with blue and red tones more vibrant and less regal than the 616 Strange. This isn't just aesthetic. It signals a different personality, a more impulsive, reckless version of Strange, foreshadowing what we later learn about his willingness to sacrifice America. And speaking of America, her star-shaped portals, while visually striking, carry deeper meaning. That symbol isn't just a random design choice. It's a direct nod to her comic origins as Miss America, where her portal-punching powers are equally distinctive. In Stephen Strange's real-world Earth 616, we find a man wrestling with control and consequence. But something subtle hangs in the background of even his quietest moments. At Christine's wedding, when Strange speaks with her new husband, a curious comment is dropped. He thanks Strange for saving them all during the blip, but then asks the critical question. Was there really no other way? That line isn't just idle talk. It reflects a wider cultural ripple across the MCU. The uncomfortable awareness that Strange made the choice to give Thanos the Time Stone, to sacrifice Tony Stark, and to gamble the fate of the universe. It's a callback to Infinity War, but also a seed of doubt that blooms throughout the film. Then comes Gargantos, a massive, tentacled creature with a single eye, tearing through New York. While the movie names it as Gargantos, die-hard comic fans will recognize its similarity to Shumagorath, a powerful, multiversal being from Marvel lore. Why the name change? Most likely legal reasons. Shumagorath was originally created for a Robert E. Howard story, but the essence remains the same. And this creature's eye? Later echoed chillingly when Wanda rips it out. That circular, unblinking eye motif comes back again and again, most notably with Strange's third eye, which appears in the climax and again in the post-credits scene. A symbol of forbidden knowledge, magical corruption, and the lingering price of the Darkhold's influence. Kamar-Taj, the mystical home of Earth's sorcerers, becomes the battleground for Wanda's brutal assault. Here, visual foreshadowing takes center stage. Early in the film, when Strange and Wong enter the temple, the camera lingers for a moment on several young students, among them America Chavez. Though she hasn't begun training yet, her presence in that sacred place is quietly prophetic. Later, in the final act, she returns not as a refugee, but as a budding sorcerer, ready to find her place. Wanda's assault on Kamar-Taj is a horror sequence drenched in Raimi's style, mirrored shots, jarring camera tilts, and sound design that echoes The Evil Dead. But if you pay attention, her methods reveal something deeper. She doesn't just break the walls. She infiltrates the mind of one young sorcerer, whispering into his thoughts and forcing him to panic. That whispering is more than a trick. It mirrors how Wanda was manipulated herself in Avengers Age of Ultron, when she used similar tactics to plant visions in the minds of Earth's mightiest heroes. The cycle of control continues. As we jump through the multiverse with Strange and America, we enter a kaleidoscope of realities. But they aren't just random. One world is entirely animated, possibly a tribute to What If, Marvel's animated multiverse series. Another seems to be made of paint, where characters swirl like brushstrokes. Raimi's artistic nod to abstract expressionism, perhaps. Another world shows a landscape covered in bones. An eerie foreshadowing of Strange's final battle in a world where death literally takes form. Each universe isn't just a flex of visual effects. It's a thematic snapshot of what the multiverse contains. Creativity, chaos, and consequences. In Universe 838, the details are perhaps richest. The traffic lights are reversed. Red on the bottom, green on top. Pizza comes in ball form. And memory booths allow people to relive their pasts, creating an exposition device that's both clever and quietly disturbing. It tells us, without saying it, that this world is obsessed with order, clarity, and control, qualities reflected in the very existence of the Illuminati. Ah yes, the Illuminati. Every fan moment packed into their reveal carries deeper meanings. Reed Richards' arrival, played by John Krasinski, is a metacasting dream come true, a nod to years of fan art and theories. But notice what he says, "I have children." It's a subtle bridge to Fantastic Four lore, and possibly even the eventual arrival of Franklin and Valeria Richards. Then there's Black Bolt, introduced in his full comics-accurate suit, a rare acknowledgement of Marvel's Inhumans show, long considered disconnected from the main MCU. His presence is brief but unforgettable, and his death, a moment of pure horror, echoes the classic "be careful what you say" adage in the darkest way possible. Charles Xavier's arrival is rich with meaning. His yellow hoverchair isn't from the Fox X-Men films. It's from the 1990s animated series, as is the haunting piano riff that plays when he enters. It's a nostalgia gut punch, but also a signal. This isn't just Professor X. This is a Professor X, possibly pulled from that iconic animated timeline. When he dies at Wanda's hands, in a scene drenched in red lighting and shadowed corners, we're reminded that even the wisest minds can fall if they underestimate grief and rage. The Book of Vishanti and the Darkhold represent more than just magical MacGuffins. They symbolize two extremes. The Vishanti is order, clarity, balance. The Darkhold is temptation, chaos, and corruption. But both are just tools. What matters is who wields them. This mirrors Strange's journey. Will he use power to protect or control? The destruction of both books suggests a deeper message, that there is no perfect solution to multiversal threats. Only hard choices, personal sacrifices, and trust in others. When Strange confronts Sinister Strange in the crumbling, incursion-ridden world, their musical battle might seem like playful experimentation, but it's layered with symbolic detail. The notes used, classic compositions clashing with chaotic, dissonant riffs, are sound made literal. It's a duel of harmony versus discord. The fact that Strange wins by playing a single, pure note is no accident. It reflects his character arc, clarity amidst the noise. Dreamwalking itself is a fascinating concept, and its visual language is laced with metaphor. Wanda lying in her trance, lit only by red candles, is a witch in every sense, calling back not only to Marvel lore but traditional depictions of spellcraft. The slow camera rotations, flickering shadows, and long tracking shots are Raimi trademarks, and they make even quiet moments unnerving. There's even a subtle nod to The Exorcist when Wanda possesses her variant self in 838. The way she moves, eyes wide and limbs stiff, evokes classic horror possession. The final battle at Mount Wundagore holds ancient secrets. The carvings on the walls seem to predate human history, hinting that chaos magic has always existed. The throne, massive and foreboding, feels almost Lovecraftian in its scale. But what really stands out is Wanda's final moment of clarity. As the mountain crumbles and the Darkhold is destroyed, we see a brief, flickering image, a flash of white light, possibly a spirit or astral form. Is it Wanda's soul breaking free? Or is it a hint that she's not truly gone? The ambiguity leaves the door open, as any good myth should. Back on Earth 616, the final moments seem quiet. At first, Strange fixes his watch, symbolizing his attempt to move forward. That cracked faceplate, long representing his broken past and inability to fix time or fate, is finally mended. It's subtle but powerful. He's learning to accept imperfection, something he's always struggled with. But then comes the sting. The third eye, blinking open on his forehead, is a callback to both Sinister Strange and the consequences of using dark magic. It's a visual marker of corruption, awareness, and the toll of power. The multiverse may be stabilized, but Stephen is far from safe. The post-credit scene drops one more breadcrumb. Clea, a powerful sorceress and Strange's comic book love interest, played by Charlize Theron, steps through a dimensional rift. She tells him he's caused an incursion. Her arrival is packed with promise. A new arc, new dangers, and new realities. But even her costume is a layered detail. Its sharp lines and cosmic flair are taken almost directly from her earliest comic designs. Updated but unmistakable. The multiverse, it seems, is far from done with Doctor Strange. Even the credits themselves are filled with care. The typography, glowing with shifting magic, plays over a kaleidoscope of shattered glass. A motif used heavily throughout the film to symbolize fractured realities and identity. And the final line, Bruce Campbell's hilarious, "It's over," is pure Raimi. But even that joke circles back. Campbell, as the pizza ball vendor, is more than comic relief. He's a multiverse variant of Ash from The Evil Dead, in spirit if not name. His post-credit cameo echoes the possessed hand gag from Raimi's horror classic, a little wink to fans who followed his work from the very beginning. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, nothing is accidental. Every visual, line, and frame carries the weight of a larger world, a longer story. Whether it's the shadow of Thanos still hanging over the characters, the subtle arcane designs etched into Kamar-Taj's walls, or the faint echoes of classic horror hidden in camera movements. This film is a puzzle box waiting to be unlocked, and each rewatch reveals something new. A whispered reference, a visual pun, a nod to the past or a thread toward the future. Cosmic horror, superhero action, multiversal chaos, and emotional character arcs. But what happened behind the camera might be even stranger than what ended up on screen. From sudden directorial shifts to last-minute reshoots, from fan-fueled casting dreams to real-world controversies, the road to making this film was anything but ordinary. Let's start at the beginning, because the original vision for this movie looked very different. Back in 2019, Scott Derrickson, who directed the first Doctor Strange film, was set to return. Known for his work in horror, Sinister, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Derrickson had planned to lean deep into the dark, surreal corners of the MCU. He famously described the sequel as the first scary Marvel movie. And for a while, everything seemed on track. But creative differences with Marvel eventually led to Derrickson stepping away from the director's chair in early 2020. It wasn't a dramatic fallout, but it was clear that Marvel wanted something slightly different, more connected to the wider MCU and, crucially, to the multiverse. Enter Sam Raimi. Raimi, the legendary director of the original Spider-Man trilogy and cult horror classics like The Evil Dead, wasn't an obvious replacement. He hadn't directed a movie in nearly a decade. But Marvel saw something unique in him. A filmmaker who could balance horror, humor, and superhero spectacle all at once. And just like that, Raimi was back, stepping into the MCU with a legacy behind him and a chaotic canvas ahead. Taking on Multiverse of Madness was no small feat. The pandemic had already shifted the entire Marvel production schedule, meaning this film script was being rewritten while sets were being built. Screenwriter Michael Waldron, of Loki fame, had just wrapped that show when he was asked to jump onto the Doctor Strange sequel. He later admitted that the writing process was like trying to catch a speeding train, the story evolving even as production began. One of the film's biggest challenges was how tightly it needed to link with other MCU properties. Originally, this movie was supposed to follow WandaVision almost directly and be released before Spider-Man: No Way Home. But delays flipped the schedule, forcing the Doctor Strange team to adapt to the multiversal chaos already introduced in No Way Home. That meant adding context, reworking scenes, and making sure audiences would understand why the multiverse was falling apart. Even if they hadn't seen every Disney Plus series, casting became another wild ride. For months, rumors swirled about which characters and cameos would appear. John Krasinski's Reed Richards was one of the biggest shocks, not just because it marked the Fantastic Four's entrance into the MCU, but because it was pure fan service, literally. Fans had been photoshopping Krasinski into Mr. Fantastic suits for years. Kevin Feige and the creative team saw those fan creations and decided to run with it. But here's the twist. Krasinski's cameo wasn't part of the original shoot. It was filmed during reshoots, and reportedly he never even met most of the cast. His entire scene was shot separately using green screen and editing trickery. The same goes for Patrick Stewart, reprising his iconic role as Charles Xavier. His appearance was carefully guarded, though fans immediately recognized his voice in the trailer. What most viewers didn't realize is that Stewart filmed his scenes entirely on a soundstage in London, far away from the rest of the set. Due to COVID travel restrictions and scheduling, his appearance was stitched in through digital compositing and clever editing. The result? A multiverse of actors who were never actually in the same room, but looked like they were. Now let's talk about Wanda, because Elizabeth Olsen's journey through this film was filled with transformation both on and off screen. After the success of WandaVision, Olsen became one of the most acclaimed performers in the MCU. But filming Multiverse of Madness proved uniquely challenging. The tone was darker, the action more physically demanding, and Wanda's emotional arc was intense. Olsen has shared that she filmed several sequences without knowing exactly where Wanda's story would end. Some scenes were rewritten even after they were shot. That ambiguity shows up on screen in the best way. Her performance feels raw, unfiltered, sometimes frightening, always tragic. Olsen also did many of her own stunts. One particularly intense moment, the temple collapse at Mount Wundagore, was filmed using massive hydraulic rigs and practical debris. Olsen was genuinely buried under rubble during portions of the shoot, guided only by earpiece instructions from the stunt team. It felt claustrophobic, she later said in interviews. But that helped get me into Wanda's mindset. Benedict Cumberbatch also wore multiple hats, literally and figuratively. Playing several versions of himself meant multiple costume changes, multiple accents, and sometimes multiple versions of the same scene. One day he'd be noble defender Strange with graying temples. The next, the corrupted sinister Strange, with haunting blackened fingers and tired eyes. Cumberbatch has said that filming scenes as Zombie Strange was particularly surreal. The makeup process took hours, and once in full gear, he couldn't sit or eat properly. At one point, he joked that he scared himself when he caught his reflection in a mirror between takes. Speaking of Zombie Strange, that entire sequence was nearly cut. Some early drafts didn't include the corpse reanimation storyline, fearing it would feel too over the top. But Raimi pushed hard to keep it. He believed it was essential to Strange's arc, a visual metaphor for confronting your past and reanimating your own mistakes. And, of course, it gave Raimi a chance to dive fully into his horror roots. The ghoulish souls of the damned, screaming and clawing, were practical effects enhanced with CGI, many played by stunt performers in full makeup, suspended from rigs like puppets. The horror tone throughout the movie wasn't just a style, it was a point of tension during production. Marvel's creative team wanted to balance scares with humor and heart, but Raimi, true to form, pushed the edges. The Illuminati death scenes, particularly Black Bolt's, sparked debate. Some early test audiences were reportedly shocked by how graphic those moments were for a Marvel film. Marvel considered softening them, but ultimately kept them in, trusting Raimi's vision. Those sequences are now among the most talked about in the film. Another fascinating behind-the-scenes detail? Danny Elfman's score. Known for his iconic work with Tim Burton and on Raimi's original Spider-Man films, Elfman was brought in to replace Michael Giacchino, who left due to scheduling conflicts. Elfman had just days to begin composing, and he worked closely with Raimi to create a soundscape that was equal parts epic and eerie. That musical battle between the two Stranges? Elfman composed it using classical motifs from Beethoven and Bach, blending them with original themes. It's one of the most experimental musical sequences in the MCU, and a moment where sound becomes part of the action. Then there's the reshoots. While many films undergo pickups, Multiverse of Madness went through extensive reshoots, nearly 6 weeks' worth. Some scenes were added, others reworked entirely. The Illuminati were not part of the original shoot. Most of that content came late in production, and even America Chavez's role evolved. Xochitl Gomez was only 14 when cast, and as production delays stretched into 2021, she had grown visibly older. To maintain continuity, scenes had to be restructured, with Gomez occasionally dubbed or digitally de-aged in subtle ways. The film's secrecy was another production beast. Scripts were heavily guarded. Actors received only their own scenes, often with lines redacted. During press interviews, Elizabeth Olsen joked that she wasn't always sure who she was talking to in certain scenes. And when the trailers dropped, Marvel used clever misdirection. In one shot, a mysterious glowing figure led fans to believe it was Tom Cruise's rumored superior Iron Man. In reality, it was Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel, her silhouette and energy effects purposely altered in the trailer to fuel speculation. Of course, not everything went smoothly. Some fans criticized the film's pacing or how it handled Wanda's arc. The debate over whether Wanda's turn to villainy was earned sparked online discussion. Marvel's writers defended the choice, saying WandaVision laid the foundation, and that grief doesn't always follow a linear, rational path. Still, the conversation highlighted how complex and deeply felt Wanda's character had become. It was a rare moment in superhero storytelling where fans weren't just debating plot points, they were debating emotional truth. And there was one major scene that didn't make the final cut. A rumored sequence featuring a multiversal cameo by Ghost Rider. Concept art showed a fiery chain-wielding figure locked in battle with the Scarlet Witch. Though never confirmed by Marvel, industry insiders claim that rights issues and time constraints led to the scene being dropped. If true, it's a fascinating what could have been, a glimpse at just how wild the multiverse could have gotten. As for the ending, Raimi fought for ambiguity. Wanda's final fate is left open, not just to keep doors open for sequels, but because it felt truer to the story. You never really destroy someone like Wanda, Raimi said in interviews. You just let them rest for a while. Similarly, the third eye appearing on Strange wasn't in the original script. It was added during late-stage reshoots, meant to serve as a final note of unease, an echo of Sinister Strange's fate, and a hint that using dark magic always leaves a scar. Looking back, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a miracle of coordination. A film that juggled a global pandemic, rotating directors, shifting release dates, interconnected Marvel stories, and enormous fan expectations, yet still managed to feel like the singular vision of a filmmaker unafraid to take risks. It's messy in parts, yes, but it's bold. And behind every frame is a story. Of actors buried under makeup, composers racing deadlines, editors stitching together cameos from different continents, and a director pushing the boundaries of what the MCU can be. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness unfolds as a whirlwind of spectacle and emotion, but it's in its key moments that the film truly anchors itself, inviting viewers not only to watch, but to feel, reflect, and question. These scenes don't just serve the story. They shape the entire experience, layering complexity beneath the dazzling multiverse visuals. Let's journey through some of the most impactful moments, exploring what makes them special and why they resonate long after the credits roll. The film's opening sequence sets the tone instantly. We're thrust into chaos with Defender Strange and America Chavez fleeing from a monstrous tentacled beast in a shattered reality. At first glance, it's thrilling pure action, fast-paced, adrenaline pumping. But the scene carries emotional weight beneath the spectacle. Defender Strange's willingness to leave America behind, to save himself, instantly paints him in morally ambiguous colors. It challenges the usual superhero trope of unwavering heroism and raises complex questions about survival, trust, and sacrifice. For audiences, this introduction shocks and hooks, signaling that this is not a simple good versus evil tale. It plants seeds of tension and unpredictability that echo throughout the movie. Transitioning to Earth 616, Stephen Strange's internal conflict comes sharply into focus during the quiet moments at Christine Palmer's wedding. Here, the emotional depth is subtle but profound. Watching Strange wrestle with the ghosts of his past mistakes, his failure to protect loved ones, his sacrifice in the face of Thanos' devastation, reminds audiences of the human vulnerability beneath the sorcerer's cape. The wedding itself, a hopeful moment, is tinged with bittersweet regret. Christine's new life symbolizes what Strange lost and cannot reclaim, grounding the cosmic chaos with a personal, relatable sorrow. This emotional anchor keeps viewers invested not just in battles, but in character. One of the film's most debated and critically discussed sequences is the attack on Kamar-Taj. This is where the horror influences fully bloom. The scene is visceral, unsettling, and, for Marvel fans, almost unprecedented in tone. Watching Wanda Maximoff, once a beloved Avenger, tear through the sanctity of the sorcerer's home carries tremendous thematic weight. It's a brutal collision of grief and rage, showing how immense loss can warp even the best intentions. Thematically, it raises questions about power and control, how trauma can corrupt and how unchecked sorrow becomes dangerous. Audiences responded with a mix of shock, sadness, and fascination. The scene upends expectations and deepens Wanda's arc from victim to antagonist, making her actions painfully human rather than villainous cliché. Strange's multiverse travels bring some of the film's most visually and emotionally impactful moments. The encounter with the Illuminati in Universe 838 is a standout. Here, the film cleverly blends Marvel fan service with high-stakes storytelling. The deaths of each Illuminati member, especially Black Bolt and Charles Xavier, pack an emotional punch precisely because of their iconic status. Black Bolt's death, in particular, is hauntingly silent yet devastating. His powerful voice silenced forever by Wanda's assault. The visual framing, shadow-heavy and blood-soaked, evokes classical tragedy. For viewers, these moments were a gut punch, underscoring that this film plays by higher-stakes rules. No one is safe and consequences are real. It's a reminder that the multiverse is vast and brutal. Another key moment that resonates deeply is America Chavez's growth from frightened child to empowered hero. Her arc might seem straightforward, but the emotional beats are carefully crafted. The moment she finally controls her powers, opening portals confidently and defending herself, carries the weight of personal agency and resilience. America's journey parallels the larger theme of identity across the multiverse, how we find ourselves amid chaos, and how strength can emerge from trauma. This empowerment moment serves as a hopeful counterbalance to Wanda's descent, giving audiences a character to root for amid darkness. The confrontation between Strange and Sinister Strange is a masterstroke of thematic and emotional resonance. It's more than a battle. It's an exploration of duality, the self we hope to be versus the self we fear we might become. The musical duel, filled with classical motifs clashing and intertwining, elevates the scene from mere fight to a symphony of conflict. Audience reactions highlighted this as a standout, not just for its originality, but for how it captures Strange's internal struggles physically and metaphorically. The victory isn't just about defeating an enemy. It's about Strange reclaiming control over his darker impulses and choices. Wanda's dreamwalking sequences are chilling and poignant, blending horror with heartbreak. The scene where she possesses her variant self in Universe 838 is especially impactful. It's a visceral portrayal of self-conflict, as the once innocent Wanda fights against her darker impulses from within. The tension between acceptance and resistance plays out visually in the flickering red-lit room and Wanda's increasingly unsettling movements. These moments invite audiences to empathize with her torment. She is not merely a villain but a fractured soul struggling with grief and identity. The horror elements amplify the emotional stakes, making her journey all the more haunting. The climax at Mount Wundagore is both grand and intimate, a collision of cosmic power and personal reckoning. Wanda's final moments, as the mountain crumbles and she chooses to destroy the Darkhold, are suffused with sorrow and a desperate yearning for redemption. The imagery here is powerful. The ancient ruins symbolize timeless knowledge, but also the weight of past mistakes. The crumbling mountain mirrors Wanda's breaking psyche. Audiences feel her pain, her isolation, and her flickering hope. It's a moment of catharsis and tragedy, cementing her as a deeply human figure caught in forces beyond control. The post-battle quiet on Earth 616 carries subtle but meaningful emotional beats. Strange repairing his watch isn't just a practical detail. It's symbolic. The watch, cracked and broken throughout the film, represents his fractured past and his struggle to control time and fate. Fixing it signals growth, acceptance, and hope. But the ominous opening of the third eye reminds audiences that power is never free. Strange's journey is ongoing, filled with temptation and peril. This balance of hope and unease perfectly encapsulates the film's thematic complexity. The post-credit scene, introducing Clea, hints at new beginnings and expanded mysteries. Her appearance is understated but loaded with promise. For audiences, this moment sparked excitement and speculation about the future of the MCU's mystical realms. It also echoes the film's recurring theme of legacy, how each generation inherits a complicated, often dangerous inheritance, yet still has the power to shape its destiny. Throughout Multiverse of Madness, audience reactions varied, but often converged on a few key points: the film's bold visual style, the darker tone, and the emotional complexity. Critics praised the film for pushing Marvel's boundaries, blending horror and superhero genres in a way few expected. Fans were captivated by the risks taken with beloved characters, especially Wanda's arc, which sparked heated but passionate debate. The movie's willingness to shock, surprise, and challenge expectations gave it a distinctive place in the MCU landscape. What truly sets these key moments apart is their layering. Each is more than spectacle. They carry emotional weight, echo thematic questions about grief, power, identity, and consequence. They challenge viewers to look beyond the surface and consider the human costs of magic and multiversal travel. This depth transforms Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness from a mere action film into a complex meditation on loss and choice. Ultimately, the film's most impactful scenes shape the overall experience by grounding cosmic chaos in human emotion. They remind audiences that even amid portals, alternate realities, and mind-bending powers, the heart of the story beats in flawed, struggling people trying to find their way. This blend of thrilling spectacle and emotional truth is what makes Multiverse of Madness resonate, making it a cinematic journey worth revisiting again and again. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is more than a dazzling superhero spectacle. It's a layered exploration of identity, grief, power, and the consequences of choices, both personal and cosmic. From the moment the film opens, it invites viewers into a story rich with symbolism and deep thematic questions that resonate far beyond its fantasy setting. At its core, the movie wrestles with the theme of grief and how it shapes our reality. Wanda Maximoff's journey is a heartbreaking portrait of a woman crushed under the weight of loss, longing, and regret. Her transformation from grieving mother to desperate antagonist mirrors the complex, often messy process of mourning in the real world. Wanda's refusal to let go of her children, even at the cost of entire realities, captures a universal truth. Grief can warp perception, making it hard to distinguish between love and control, protection and obsession. The multiverse itself becomes a metaphor for the many paths our lives might take, the different versions of ourselves we could become depending on choices, chance, or circumstance. In this, the film touches on themes of identity and destiny. Each variant of Doctor Strange and Wanda reveals alternate possibilities of what could have been, emphasizing that identity isn't fixed but fluid, shaped by experience and decisions. This idea gently challenges the notion of fate, suggesting that who we are is a product of both who we choose to be and what we endure. This fluidity of identity is further symbolized by the cracked watch Strange carries, a subtle but powerful image threaded throughout the film. The watch represents time, memory, and the fragility of control. Strange's attempt to repair it in the film's quiet moments symbolizes his effort to mend his past mistakes and regain mastery over his life's path. Yet the watch's persistent cracks remind viewers that time, and healing, is never perfect or linear. This visual motif ties into the larger narrative of the multiverse. Fractured realities, fractured selves, all trying to find cohesion amid chaos. Power and its consequences form another significant thematic pillar. The Darkhold, the ancient tome of dark magic Wanda wields, isn't just a magical prop. It's a symbol of temptation and corruption. The book's seductive promises echo real-world cautionary tales about power that comes at a cost. Wanda's use of the Darkhold to manipulate reality underscores the danger of unchecked power driven by personal pain. Her arc serves as a meditation on how trauma can distort judgment, turning a desire for healing into destruction. In contrast to Wanda's destructive path, America Chavez represents hope, growth, and self-acceptance. Her struggle to harness her powers and control her abilities reflects the journey of self-discovery many experience during adolescence and beyond. America's story is one of empowerment, learning to embrace difference and forge a unique path. Her character subtly comments on themes of diversity and inclusion, embodying a younger generation finding strength in identity and community. The multiverse here becomes a space not just for chaos, but for infinite possibility and resilience. The film's use of horror elements serves a dual purpose. It amplifies the emotional stakes while symbolizing the fear and trauma lurking beneath the surface. The shadows, the ghoulish figures, and the unsettling visual motifs mirror Wanda's internal darkness. Horror becomes a language for expressing psychological turmoil. The monster isn't just external but inside the characters, especially Wanda and Strange. This blending of genres enhances the film's exploration of fear, control, and the battle between light and darkness within. Symbolism abounds in the film's visual language. The recurring shattered glass motif, seen in the credits, in portals, and in key scenes, represents fractured realities and broken identities. It's a constant reminder that the multiverse is fragile, and that actions in one reality ripple across others. This motif also subtly underscores the theme of consequences. Every choice shatters some part of the fabric of existence, challenging the characters to piece it back together or face destruction. Wanda's iconic Scarlet Witch costume, with its sharp lines and cosmic flair, symbolizes her evolution. It visually marks her transition from a conflicted hero to a powerful but tragic figure caught between light and dark. The costume's design nods to her comic origins, tying the character's legacy to this new cinematic incarnation. It's a wearable metaphor for identity, how we present ourselves to the world and how that self can be reshaped by trauma and power. The film also touches on social commentary, particularly around the nature of control and autonomy. Wanda's desperate attempts to rewrite reality to regain her children can be seen as a reflection on control in personal relationships and societal structures. It raises uncomfortable questions about boundaries, consent, and the ethics of imposing one's will, even when motivated by love. This nuanced portrayal invites viewers to grapple with complex moral dilemmas rather than offering simple good versus evil answers. Doctor Strange himself embodies the tension between knowledge and humility. His journey is a lesson in accepting the limits of control and embracing uncertainty. Despite his vast magical powers, Strange learns that some things, love, grief, the multiverse, cannot be neatly managed or predicted. This humility in the face of vast cosmic forces resonates as a philosophical meditation on human experience. That power must be tempered by wisdom and compassion. The film's exploration of legacy also reflects broader cultural themes. Characters like Clea appearing in the post-credits scene hint at generational shifts and the passing of mystical knowledge. It suggests that the multiverse is a continuum of stories, an ongoing tapestry where each generation shapes the future. This idea mirrors real-world conversations about heritage, responsibility, and progress, inviting reflection on how we build on the past while forging new paths. In sum, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness invites audiences into a rich dialogue with its themes and symbolism. It uses its multiversal canvas not only to dazzle with spectacle, but to probe deeply into what it means to grieve, to wield power responsibly, to find identity amid chaos, and to face the consequences of our choices. The film's layered storytelling encourages viewers to see beyond the portals and spells to the very human struggles at its heart, making it a cinematic experience that resonates emotionally, intellectually, and culturally. Watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is like stepping into a living, breathing kaleidoscope, where every frame is a carefully crafted piece of art, every sound a thread in the tapestry of experience. From the moment the film begins, its cinematic techniques don't just support the story. They elevate it, shaping how we feel, what we understand, and how we remember this journey through fractured realities. One of the most striking features of the film's visual style is its bold, kaleidoscopic use of color and lighting. Unlike many Marvel films that lean into a bright, polished aesthetic, Multiverse of Madness embraces shadows, stark contrasts, and surreal palettes that reflect the chaos of the multiverse and the psychological turmoil of its characters. The interplay of light and dark becomes a visual metaphor for the struggle between hope and despair, control and madness. For instance, scenes featuring Wanda often bathe in crimson and shadow, emphasizing her volatile power and inner darkness, while moments of calm or innocence, like America's initial appearances, glow with softer, more natural light. Cinematographer Bill Pope brings a dynamic energy to every shot, using inventive camera angles and fluid movement to immerse viewers fully in the story's shifting realities. The camera doesn't just observe, it participates. During the intense chase scenes and magical battles, the camera swirls, dives, and glides with the characters, creating a visceral sense of being inside the action. This kinetic approach heightens tension and engagement, making audiences feel the dizzying instability of the multiverse. One particularly inventive visual technique appears in the fight scenes, where reality itself seems to warp and fold. The creative use of CGI and practical effects combines seamlessly to produce moments where gravity shifts, dimensions overlap, and the laws of physics bend. The manipulation of space on screen isn't just for spectacle. It conveys the narrative's central theme, the fragility and fluidity of reality. When strange and sinister strange duel with spells that tear through the fabric of the multiverse, the visuals become a physical manifestation of their internal conflict, a ballet of destruction and creation. Editing plays a crucial role in maintaining the film's pace and emotional rhythm, especially given its complex narrative structure. Editor Debbie Behrman's work ensures that transitions between wildly different universes feel smooth yet impactful. The cuts are often quick and sharp during action sequences, heightening urgency, while slower, lingering shots punctuate moments of reflection or dread. This balance allows the film to breathe when needed and race when the story demands it, keeping viewers hooked without overwhelming them. Sound design weaves through the film like an unseen character, enriching every scene. The eerie echoes in the corridors of Kamar-Taj, the unsettling whispers when Wanda delves into dark magic, and the roaring chaos of battles all combine to create an immersive sonic landscape. These sounds don't just fill space. They enhance mood, amplify fear, and deepen immersion. The subtle layering of magical effects, from the crackling of spells to the hum of portals opening, makes the mystical world tangible and vibrant. The musical score, composed by Danny Elfman, is another masterstroke. Elfman's work balances the epic and the intimate, blending sweeping orchestral themes with haunting motifs. His music punctuates key moments with emotional clarity, whether it's the haunting tension as Wanda's powers spiral out of control or the hopeful, uplifting cues during America's empowerment. The score's ability to shift seamlessly between grandeur and subtlety mirrors the film's own tonal shifts, supporting the narrative without overpowering it. Elfman's musical themes also serve a symbolic purpose. The recurring motifs tied to Wanda's character, for example, echo the tragic beauty of her arc, weaving a sonic thread that ties her many manifestations together. Meanwhile, the use of classical and mystical influences in the score grounds the film's fantastical elements in a timeless, mythic atmosphere, reminding viewers of the story's deeper roots in magic and legend. Director Sam Raimi's distinctive style profoundly shapes the film's look and feel. Known for his work in horror and dark fantasy, Raimi infuses Multiverse of Madness with a unique blend of thrills and chills. His influence is evident in the film's use of practical effects, exaggerated camera movements, and moments of dark humor. Raimi's penchant for horror tropes, such as jump scares, unsettling shadows, and grotesque creatures, imbues the movie with an eerie edge unusual for the MCU, expanding the franchise's stylistic palette. One iconic Raimi touch is the camera whip movement, a rapid, zoomed-in pan that punctuates moments of surprise or intensity. This technique adds a visceral jolt to scenes, heightening the sense of chaos and unpredictability. Raimi's approach to blending horror with superhero action creates a thrilling hybrid genre experience, one where moments of genuine fear sit alongside heroic triumph. The film's practical effects also deserve special mention. Despite the heavy use of CGI, many scenes rely on real makeup, prosthetics and animatronics, especially in the more horrific sequences. This tactile approach grounds the supernatural elements in a physical reality, making the horror feel more immediate and unsettling. The zombie sequences, for example, gain extra weight from the actors' painstaking makeup and movement, adding a grotesque realism that digital effects alone might lack. Visual storytelling also shines through the film's careful use of costume design and production details. Each universe has its own distinct aesthetic, reflected in costumes, architecture, and props. These details subtly communicate the differences and similarities between realities without needing explicit exposition. Wanda's Scarlet Witch costume, rich in symbolism and detail, visually narrates her evolution and inner conflict. Similarly, America's casual, modern attire contrasts with the more formal, mystical garb of Kamar-Taj's inhabitants, highlighting her role as an outsider and newcomer to this world of magic. Lighting choices further enhance the storytelling, using shadow and illumination to reflect characters' emotional states. Scenes drenched in red hues often accompany moments of danger or rage, while softer, warmer tones signal safety or hope. This use of color psychology helps viewers intuitively grasp the emotional undercurrents without needing dialogue. The film's use of frame composition and spatial relationships deepens the narrative impact. Characters are often positioned against vast, intricate backdrops, emphasizing their smallness in the face of cosmic forces. Close-ups reveal vulnerability, while wide shots showcase the grandeur of the multiverse. Raimi and his team use these choices to balance the intimate and the epic, reminding audiences that personal struggles are as significant as universal ones. From the very first scenes of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, it's clear that the actors share a rare and tangible chemistry that breathes life into this sprawling, complex story. At the heart of the film is Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal of Stephen Strange, whose grounded yet charismatic presence serves as the emotional anchor amid the film's cosmic chaos. But what elevates his performance, and the entire film, is the dynamic interplay with his co-stars, who bring nuance, energy, and unexpected warmth to their roles. Elizabeth Olsen's portrayal of Wanda Maximoff is a masterclass in balancing raw emotional intensity with vulnerability. The chemistry between Olsen and Cumberbatch, especially in their scenes of confrontation and reluctant alliance, crackles with tension and unspoken history. Their shared moments feel lived in, the actors clearly pushing and pulling off-screen as well as on, deepening the authenticity of their complex relationship. This dynamic adds layers to Wanda's descent into darkness and Strange's grappling with responsibility, making their conflicts feel personal, not just plot-driven. Behind the scenes, this chemistry wasn't just happenstance. The cast spent extensive time rehearsing intense sequences and discussing their characters' motivations, creating a collaborative atmosphere that fostered trust and spontaneity on set. Benedict and Elizabeth reportedly shared notes on their characters' emotional journeys, which allowed them to find a shared rhythm, turning their scenes into nuanced duets rather than mere exchanges. This preparation shines through, making their on-screen battles feel less like scripted fights and more like visceral struggles between two powerful, wounded souls. Xochitl Gomez, playing America Chavez, brought a fresh energy to the set, balancing youthful enthusiasm with a grounded, earnest performance. Gomez's interactions with Cumberbatch and Olsen introduced moments of genuine warmth and humor, lightening the mood amidst the film's darker themes. The mentorship dynamic between Strange and America is a subtle thread throughout the story, and their believable rapport hinges on the actors' mutual respect and easy camaraderie. On set, Gomez described learning from her seasoned co-stars, who encouraged her to bring her own personality and strength to the role, resulting in a performance that feels both authentic and inspiring. Other supporting cast members also contributed to the rich interpersonal fabric. Rachel McAdams, returning as Christine Palmer, added emotional depth to Strange's storyline, her chemistry with Cumberbatch portraying a nuanced history marked by loss and unresolved feelings. Their scenes resonate with quiet longing and complexity, reminding audiences of the sacrifices and personal costs behind the sorcerer's adventures. McAdams' presence brought a grounding human touch that balanced the film's high-concept fantasy. Behind the scenes, the set itself became a crucible for creative energy. Director Sam Raimi fostered a collaborative and often playful environment, encouraging actors to experiment with physicality and timing, especially during the film's many action and horror sequences. Raimi's background in horror brought a distinctive tone that required the cast to adapt to shifts between intense drama and moments of dark humor. Many actors have spoken about how Raimi's enthusiasm and hands-on approach made the set feel like a tight-knit ensemble rather than a typical blockbuster production. One memorable anecdote involves the filming of the terrifying Kamar-Taj assault. The cast reportedly spent hours rehearsing choreography with stunt coordinators to nail the complex movements required to convey both the horror and magic of the scene. Elizabeth Olsen, in particular, committed deeply to portraying Wanda's emotional breakdown, blending physical exhaustion with psychological unraveling in a way that left crew members awestruck. This dedication created an atmosphere of mutual inspiration, pushing everyone to elevate their performances and technical work. Audiences around the world responded strongly to the chemistry on screen, with many praising how the interpersonal dynamics added emotional weight to the film's high-stakes action. Social media buzz frequently highlighted the tension and heartbreak between Wanda and Strange, praising the actor's ability to convey conflicting emotions without needing lengthy exposition. Fan communities dissected their relationship, creating theories and emotional analyses that deepened engagement and discussion. Critics also noted the cast's contributions as a key strength of the film. Reviews often highlighted how the performances lifted the narrative beyond typical superhero fare, bringing psychological depth and human complexity to characters navigating extraordinary circumstances. Elizabeth Olsen's portrayal of Wanda, in particular, was widely praised for capturing a range of emotions, rage, sorrow, desperation, that made her both frightening and sympathetic. Long-term fan engagement has only grown since the film's release. Cosplay communities embrace the characters, especially Wanda's Scarlet Witch costume and Chavez's distinctive look, celebrating the performances that brought these figures to life. Online forums remain active with debates about character motivations, favorite moments, and hopeful speculation about future storylines. This ongoing dialogue is a testament to the cast's ability to forge emotional connections that transcend the screen. Moreover, the film's cast members have engaged with fans beyond the movie, participating in interviews, conventions, and social media conversations that further humanize their roles and invite deeper appreciation. Benedict Cumberbatch's thoughtful reflections on Strange's moral struggles, Elizabeth Olsen's candid discussions of Wanda's pain, and Xochitl Gomez's inspiring messages about representation and empowerment have all contributed to a sense of community around the film. In essence, the chemistry among the cast, combined with the collaborative spirit on set and the enthusiastic audience reception, created a feedback loop that enriched the film's emotional impact and cultural resonance. It's a reminder that great storytelling in cinema isn't just about script or effects. It's about the people who bring the story to life and the audience who embraces it. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness stands as a shining example of how strong performances, genuine connections, and shared creative passion can transform a blockbuster into a deeply felt cinematic experience.